we've talked about pipe. Now we got storage. So who are the players? So we kind of touched on it earlier. I mean, what are you seeing? Or do you tend to see the emitters also being the storage folks, or I mean, what's your experience? Who do you feel like is going to be ultimately rise to the top in the storage side of things?
Well, we mentioned one name in particular. Denbury was out there early. They've got a bunch of sites that they are already, applying for Class 6 permits, which we can talk about that more, but that's a key thing that you need to be able to have a storage site is a Class 6 permit. And a lot of it depends on where you're at is how easy it is to get that permit. But so Denbury is huge. They're starting out there. Of course, Exxon's going to have their own. A lot of the super majors are going to certainly have storage projects that service their own emissions, like from their own refinery. Shell comes to mind. They have a couple of there, but they may also expand in taking third-party gas as well, third-party CO2 really as well. But one of the early movers, of course, was Talos and CarbonVert. And Talos just got out there, and when the Texas GLO, General Land Office, offered up one of their state waters off of Jefferson County, they jumped on it. And it's imperfect, but they just did a great job getting out there ahead of everyone. They teamed up with CarbonVert, who has some expertise in that as well. That evolved over time, where they got the lease from the GLO, and that, by the way, offshore. And we need to talk more about this as far as storage goes, but offshore places like state waters is just a wonderful place to be. The geology is fabulous. You don't have as many landowner issues. There's not as much. It's a little bit out of sight, out of mind. Still incredibly safe. A little bit more expensive, to be sure, to put stuff in the water, but still a great spot. So they had a great idea, so good that Chevron came in and wanted to get into the partnership. Chevron now operates a partnership. They have 50% ownership. And then you just saw that Equinor, this massive international oil company out of Norway, came in and bought out CarbonVert just last week. And, it shows how having a great storage site is so critical. For a company like Equinor to come in and play in state waters of Texas, and to combine with Chevron and Talos, I mean, that is real validation of the idea. They're out there. Equinor has a ton of expertise in carbon sequestration over time, and some of it hard-earned mistakes, but they have an incredible amount of expertise, and they saw the value. You see companies like Repsol, a huge Spanish company, coming and participating in the next sale or leasing opportunity that the GLO had near Corpus Christi. So those types of companies are out there. I think they recognize how important geology is, as well as location to emitters, as we talked about before. Just not wanting to, if you don't have to, not wanting to make these huge, transportation investments. Now, so those are some of the companies that are really out there doing well. Chevron, by the way, did a 100,000 acre leasing effort in Southeast Texas to put as a part of that Talos CarbonVert project near Jefferson County. So clearly they are going all in as well. Those are the people I think of. There's some smaller ones out there. There's some entrepreneurial folks, but I think it's going to be large companies who have patience and have a balance sheet that are really going to probably end up doing the bulk of it.
And I guess, you're right. There are some smaller groups and private equity backed groups that are in the game, and it's really kind of part of that land grab. You nailed it. I mean, I know a number of brokerage companies. We were one of them that were out competing for all that acreage in Southeast Texas. I mean, you look at just the refining that goes on in that part of the world alone. I mean, it's a right place. And so, I mean, we were in there competing from an acreage capture standpoint with 3 other major companies. And, it got interesting real quick, especially for the larger landowners. I mean, they were gold, right? And they're
Oxy. One other name. Yes, I forgot about Oxy, because they're one of those that are really a legacy oil and gas company. They've been in EOR just for a long time, and some of the very earliest. So it just made natural sense that they were going to leverage that technical expertise that they have. They have a huge balance sheet. They have patience, and really had a vision for it. And so Oxy definitely is another huge one that's
It's
out
kind
there,
of,
and they're involved in direct air capture, and so they're
yeah, I
really
mean,
trying to do all of it.
those
So
guys,
they're another big
ConocoPhillips, again, just kind of going back to anybody you see on a refinery when you're driving down I-10. I mean, those are the players. What we're seeing from a land standpoint are some of the more, private equity backed groups doing these projects in the upper Midwest, around the ethanol, around the refining that happens, steel manufacturing, stuff like that in the upper Midwest. That's where we tend to are seeing some of the PE backed groups that are going there and say, look, I can't compete with Chevron or Exxon, on the Gulf Coast, but I can go up here and on a smaller scale, maybe build a project that makes sense. So be interesting to see over the next 3, 4, 5 years how that pans out. If some of these guys, private equity groups will be able to hit a home run and maybe grab the right piece of dirt, maybe provide value and get lucky there.